Welcome to Power the Palate, National Virtual Cocktail Competition presented by Black Restaurant Week in partnership with Maker's Mark. Thank you to everyone for joining us for this Make Your Mark Monday happy hour. I'm Warren Luckett, founder of Black Restaurant Week. 16 started and 8 remain as we move on to our Elite 8. Today we will watch the top 4 bartenders from the South and East region battle live in a category we call the Corner Store Challenge. The cities include Atlanta, Miami, New York, and Philadelphia. We will advance the 2 best bartenders, one selected by our special judges panel, and the other from you, the people, which is your vote. Those 2 bartenders will then advance to the next round of the National Bracket Competition for a chance to win $5K from Black Restaurant Week. Today's Corner Store Challenge will test the bartender's ability to make a cocktail with ingredients found at your local corner store or bodega. Each contestant will have up to 5 minutes to perform a live demonstration of their cocktail. After the bartenders have built their cocktails, the judges will ask them a series of questions to see just how corner store friendly their cocktails really are. Each contestant will be judged on the following: name and inspiration, creativity, palate, drink presentation, style and personality. Today's special judges include Tasha Cyril, the owner and beverage director of the beautiful apartment 4B and Miss Icy's Kitchen restaurant in Atlanta. Chef Tiffany, a chef to the stars, having cooked for clients such as Beyonce and Steve Harvey. And Tony Castillo, a Maker's Mark diplomat from Texas and Oklahoma. Now here's how today's competition will work. Our top 4 bartenders are joining us on Zoom today, where they will each make their signature cocktail. Our judges are going to taste an exact replica of that cocktail right here at the James Room. They'll be made by our resident bartender, Will. After tasting the cocktail, the judges will interview the contestant, offer feedback about the recipe and presentation, and finally assign each bartender a score. So let's get started. Our first contestant is Tresa, hailing from the ATL.
My name is Tresa Johnson, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, at a 12 cocktail bar on the roof of Pont City Market. So today, our objective was to create a drink based off of things you would find in a corner store. So what's more Atlanta than Coca-Cola and peaches? So today I am making for you a play on a whiskey sour, maybe a Long Island, whatever makes you happy. So we're starting out with an ounce of fresh lemon juice, 1 ounce of Coca-Cola syrup, and to get our syrup, it's just 1 part Coca-Cola, 1 part sugar, 1/4 ounce of French peach liqueur, 2 ounces of our Maker's Mark whiskey, and finally 4 dashes of Angostura bitters. We're gonna fill our shaker all the way to the top so we get a consistent dilution here. And pour that into our rocks glass. And we're gonna garnish with a twisted lemon. Cheers.
Here's to you.
Cheers.
Okay.
I have a question. Why did you opt for a peach liqueur instead of fresh peaches?
So say you go to the store and you get a peach, you might get one that's super ripe, you might get one that's a little bit more on the hard side. And I just wanted to ensure that anybody that wants to recreate this cocktail will be able to make this cocktail.
Were you scared to use the Coca-Cola? Did you feel like, or were you like, this is gonna give me the note that I want? Like, I feel like you really understand tea. I'm actually from Texas, so I think you really understand tea to go and dig for the caramel note in the Coke. So I want to apply that. I think it's really great.
Thank you. Was I afraid to use Coca-Cola? No, I wasn't. So part of the reason why I chose the ingredients that I use was because I also wanted to make sure that I was highlighting Maker's Mark. I wanted to make sure that this cocktail was undeniably Maker's Mark. And Coca-Cola does a really good job of highlighting that.
Agree.
No.
And what do you hope that somebody drinking this cocktail is gonna feel or get from it? I know when I create cocktails, I'm always looking for some kind of emotion or a reaction. What do you hope that somebody enjoying this cocktail gets?
Well, it's really simple for me because, again, I'm not from Georgia. And just with my personal experience here, there's nothing more Georgia than whiskey, Coca-Cola, and peaches. Just wanted it to feel like Atlanta. That's always going to be the goal.
I love that you tied local ingredients, but also, you know, the locality of your corner store as well. That's really, really great and really wonderful because, I mean, Maker's Mark has always been about being hyper local with us getting our grains so close. So that makes so much sense how you did that with the spirit of Georgia and also the spirit of the bodega. So great job. I mean, this is already shaping up to be kind of hard. So
It's right to get out the gate, okay?
Yeah.
And I want to compliment this as well, just from a food perspective. You know, when I think of cocktails, I think of, can I drink this during dinner, during lunch, during brunch? I don't want to just, you know, it's a mimosa, so it goes with everything. It actually doesn't, you know?
Right.
So I'm actually the type of girl to order this kind of drink with brunch versus champagne, if that makes sense for me. Because I usually don't do a sweet brunch. I like a more savory thing, so this is kind of that desserty, you know, sweet thing. And I want to further compliment the individuality of these ingredients within this cocktail. I literally taste everything: the lemon, the makers, the peach, the Coke. I mean, it all has its own, you know, piece of the song. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
great job.
Great job.
Cheers.
Moving further south to our next contestant, let's welcome Jay Pink from Miami.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jay Pink, and I'm representing Miami in South Florida. Today, I'm going to make for you the Passion's Mark, pun intended. So, we are going to start with 1.5 ounces of Beautiful's Maker's Mark. We are then going to add 1 ounce of fresh squeezed or canned pineapple juice. I prefer fresh squeezed because you get a better flavor out of it. We'll also be using 3/4 ounce of passion fruit liqueur. Then we'll be adding 1/2 ounce of honey and 1/4 ounce of lemon. We're gonna throw some ice into the tins. Cap it off and give it a good shake. Oh yeah. We're then gonna go grab our chilled coupe glass. We're gonna double strain. To get a beautiful orange color with a nice frothy top. We're gonna end by garnishing with an edible flower. I would like to use 2, but these ones are really big and they cover up most of the drink. So I'd like to not do that. If you have smaller ones, you're more than welcome to use 2 or 3, but I have a bigger one, so cheers to you all. Now, as we're waiting for Will to finish up the cocktails, I'd like to tell you my inspiration for this was I was just reading through some old school classic cocktail books and I came across the Brown Derby. I'm not really big on grapefruit, which the Brown Derby calls for grapefruit. I have bad memories as a child eating grapefruits for breakfast. So I chose to swap that for a little bit of passion fruit to keep the slight bitterness and sweeten it up with pineapple instead of just honey to make it a little more tropical feel. And, you know, we're in South Florida. What else? What other drinks are better to drink than a tropical drink by the beach, enjoying the wind in your hair?
So did you, with it being like a Brown Derby riff, did you use a diluted 1-to-1 honey syrup, a 2-to-1 honey syrup, or just straight up fresh honey?
It's a 3-to-1 fresh honey.
Okay, cool. So a little bit more viscous, right? Got it. So that's gonna help with that mouthfeel on here for sure. And my next question is like, how does this collaborate with local, you know, our local consumers that you're building this cocktail for? How are they able to get the spirit of it?
I wanted to make it simple because it being the bodega challenge, you can find pineapples at almost every local bodega depending on where you're located in the country. I know down here it's very easy for me to find both passion fruit and honey and pineapples or any types of fruit down here. Most places I've visited, I've seen a lot of those, minus the tropical fruits. Of course, certain fruits are in season and certain aren't in season, so it depends on your location.
Let's try this one out. Cheers.
I already sipped mine.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous with the lemon, pineapple, and passion. It generally produces a lot more acid, but with that 3-to-1 honey, it's actually very, very well balanced. So, great job.
Thank you. I actually, when I tested it out, a few people were like, I was scared because that's a lot of citrus or acidic fruit.
I was like, you were going right back to the grapefruit.
I would have loved to taste the grapefruit. It's my personal favorite, but I understand. I understand. No, I also want to compliment that it's very balanced. It's a little on the sweeter side. I would call this the bougie bodega if it were me. I lived on top of a bodega in New York for years. I mean, they didn't have all these things, but I love that it's Miami and it's true to, your bodega experience. So that's great. And the name, like I get the Maker's Mark piece, but the Passion Mark's a little sexy. So talk us through your name. I mean, I
really was just wanted to do a little play on the passion fruit aspect and obviously incorporate Maker's Mark.
I mean, a few of these might lead to a passion mark, so
I mean, if I help you, I'm very happy to do that.
Oh my God.
there we go.
Cool. Well, thank you.
I appreciate the three of you taking the time and having me virtually bartend for you.
Next up is Woody St. Justice from the NYC.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Woody from New York City, Brooklyn, New York, representing the Final 8. Today, I'm going to feature a cocktail that's home to me, as well as my home of Brooklyn, called You Have to Chill. I named it after one of my favorite rap groups, EPMD. I wanted to create a cocktail that not only represented me as a person, but the community that I live in. Living in New York, going to the corner store during the summer was always about the sweet treats, the juices, the quarter waters, and things that just made us happy. So today, I'm going to present to you a chill cocktail in a slushy form, because I want to introduce Maker's Mark not only as a spirit, but as something that a lounge can particularly take as a cocktail, or somebody at home going to the corner store and getting these key ingredients that I picked up. We're gonna do 1 ounce of pineapple juice. We're gonna do 1 ounce of mango nectar. We can't forget our citrus, which is always a key ingredient for me. Today we're gonna use lemon juice. We're gonna go at least 1 ounce. This is a fun citrus drink, so I want to just bring out those notes so that when people make it at home or customers come to enjoy it, they're gonna get layers of flavors in this drink. Followed by 1.5 ounces of basil. I'm going a little heavy on the basil because I don't want any of the flavors components in this blender to overpower each other. So for me, it's about just keeping everything at an equilibrium. So we're going 1.5. Last but not least, we're gonna go 2 ounces of our Maker's Mark. Generally, you wanna keep it nice and balanced. So we have that here. We're gonna turn on our blender and we're going to put it to a consistency of pulse, because I don't want it too watery, but I don't want it too slushy where it's hard to swallow, so just the right texture. Then I'm gonna grab my cherry juice, and I'm just gonna drizzle just enough inside to give it a little bit of color. We're gonna grab our ingredients that's already blended inside, and we're gonna pour in. Last but not least, a nice basil leaf for that nice scent. You put it on top, and there you go. You got to chill by Woody St. Just of Brooklyn, New York.
Well, I happen to live on top of my favorite bodega in Brooklyn many years ago. So this seeing these the Jumex and the Goya and the pineapple juice, it took me back to my little spot. So
And to even like think of using, like you said, bourbon in a cocktail like this is not done often enough. So I applaud you for even thinking of those ingredients, considering that you're using Maker's Mark.
It was definitely a bold move, only because when someone thinks of slushy, they think vodka, they think tequila, they think margarita, but they never really consider bourbon. And because bourbon has so much history and so much body, it's still a spirit that I believe could be incorporated into the common cocktail with a different spin.
Absolutely.
no, I agree. And I love your use of herbs. Again, from a chef's perspective, I look at this like, is this something I can drink while eating? And I think herbs in cocktails are next level. My personal thought processes, I think people don't use them enough. So I really applaud the use of the basil. It's one of my favorite cocktail herbs. So bravo. The drink is very balanced. I've enjoyed it so far. I mean, it's a little hot in Atlanta, so I appreciate it.
All right, thank you for having me.
Our final bartender is one of Philadelphia's finest. Everyone say hello to Solomon Thomas.
My name is Solomon Thomas. I represent Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm a Newark, New Jersey born native, but I've been living here for the past 5 years or so. And I love being in Philadelphia. There's an amazing food and beverage culture here. So this is a cocktail I call the Shonuff Sour. It's a simple sour with egg white, but one of the ingredients is wonderfully complex. Yet you can still find the ingredients at any local bodega or shop. And it's a simple idea called an oleosaccharide. That means oil sugar. So when you peel any citrus, there's natural oils occurring in the rock. If you muddle that with some sugar and let it sit for some time, the result is a wonderfully aromatic sweetener, which is typically used traditionally to make punches. In Philadelphia, it's most famously used in the Fish House Punch. So let's get building. We're gonna start with a 1/4 ounce of Laird's apple brandy. Quarter ounce Courvoisier. We're using fresh lemon juice. That in that. We'll need a 1/4 ounce of this as well. A little bit of acid is going to help us cut the fat on the pork chop dish, which you're going to see in a second. Two ounces Maker's Mark. And because no pork chop isn't finished with some hot sauce, with a dash of crystal hot sauce in there. Little spice, always makes it nice. Let's get our oleosaccharide in there. 3/4 of an ounce of it. And make sure we taste our funnel. Spot on. Strain that into our glass. We're gonna garnish this with a little bit of a nicer garnish. And then we can move that all the way around. Nice long piece. We'll just spin that and make this nice little rose. The effect is this lovely circle, and it goes right in. That is the Shonuff Sour. Little guy went for a dive. Cheers.
So why 2 brandies?
So that's just kind of a traditional build for a punch, typically. And I wanted to kind of like build in that roundness in the middle of the drink. I think the Maker's Mark comes off soft because of the mash bill and the way that this is aged in Loretto. And I wanted to give a little more of a kick as well.
Now, transcribing oleo to a normal like consumer, do you think that would be a struggle for them?
I think it sounds more difficult than it is, but you just peel 4 lemons. And if you don't have a fancy muddler, I mean, you can use the back of a wooden spoon. It works. This is something that seems complicated, but it's a very elevated technique that a lot of professional bartenders use that you can do at home very simply. It's actually fun to talk about. And a lot of these citruses pair very well with herbs. It's a way to kind of pair in something you use with food in your own kitchen. So lemon's nice with rosemary, strawberries lovely with tarragon. You can do blueberry and basil. You can really have fun with it using ingredients, herbal and citrus and fruit ingredients that are in season wherever you live.
Normally, Makers is a little warmer in the back of the palate, or the top of the throat. And this actually pushes the forward part of my palate, if that makes sense, the front half. I am looking for a little lost for the hot sauce. I kind of would have liked to get that bite with this, just because I see all of your intentionality. It's just not coming through for me, but I think it's a great thought process. Just maybe a little drip on the glass or something would maybe bump this up.
Maybe throw a little dash in your drink. An extra one is like a little more heat.
Well, I think you definitely checked a lot of the boxes. One, on your knowledge of Maker's Mark, and you're also the knowledge of the restaurant aspect and that pork chop. I think that was really, really wonderful how you did that. And visually, I think you did a great job as well doing a lemon rose on that for sure. Great job.
Appreciate that.
Show enough sour.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you, Solomon. So, I think the overarching theme that everyone did was bring the spirit of Maker's Mark to life, and that spirit being locality. And every single one embodied that by allowing them to have not only the local bodegas, but also like the spirit of the city that they came from. Like, we had Georgia, we had New York, we had everything from these people, and it was really, really wonderful to see them embody that.
I liked that everyone had the story, like you said. I think that was just an important thing. I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I was really only truly impressed with one drink, and that is because I felt like I got every intentional note from that particular mixologist, whereas others, I had to think about what they put in it and then go back and, taste it over and over again, but that'd be my only, mid-grade true critique there.
Right, for me, the last competitor, despite him having all that knowledge, I felt like his ingredients were the least bodega-y, for lack of a better term, while everybody else had so many different components that you could have pulled from the bodega. His were various spirits and like one ingredient from the bodega, which kind of took away from the what are the kids saying these days? He didn't understand the assignment. Well, he partially did, but then I really feel like the other three took more time in actually going and choosing things from there. Like,
I felt they were all very safe and very familiar.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, there were a few that I think were standouts for me, and then there were some that were okay, that's fine. This is a hard decision, I think, across the board for me. So for me, Woody spoke out the best.
Absolutely.
He definitely understood the assignment, and I think he achieved the assignment. Granted, not my favorite cocktail, but did he do what was asked of him? 100%. He took the spirit of New York, he took the spirit of his childhood, the bodega, like no tomorrow. All I was waiting for was the chopped chicken, or the chopped cheese.
I agree with you, however. I'm gonna go with the actual assignment, which was the drink. And so for me, it was Teresa. I felt like when I say I tasted Coke, I tasted peach, I tasted lemon, like I literally tasted each one individually on my palate. So that, if we're talking about power of the palate, for me, her cocktail was a little on the sweet end, but it met each one of those ingredients. So I'm very impressed with that drink for sure.
I thought Teresa's cocktail was the most balanced.
Agreed.
Honestly, even with you saying like tasting every element of Atlanta, right? So it was a lemon pepper wet, long peach tea. And it was true to who Atlanta is, because you could ask for any one of these things and you will get it. I guess the numbers don't lie. We're gonna have to tally up the numbers.
These numbers across the board.
Right.
Our winner from the South and the East is Teresa from Atlanta, Georgia.
That concludes round 1 of the Elite 8 Challenge. Head over now to the competition page to vote for your favorite bartender. The People's Choice poll closes soon. Check out the Black Restaurant Week's social media pages to see who won tonight's battle. Thanks again to our partner Maker's Mark and all of our community partners for the competition. Join us next week for the second Elite 8 battle round.